Hello and welcome to episode 304 of the Casual Try Hard podcast. I'm Brian,
And I'm James.
and we will make it through Foundations at some point. I don't know if this is that week or not, but we will get there. So we're talking more Foundations.
Red this week.
Red, maybe green, but probably just red the way we've been going. So if you have any show ideas, suggestions, things you want to tell us, reach out to us on social media, Facebook, Discord, X, email. All those links are in the description. Say hey, give us some ideas.
Yeah, hit us up. I don't know if you remember from last week, but I'm going to be out of town for recording next week. And I don't think there's time in the middle there to make another episode.
Probably not.
Probably going to have to skip next week's episode. Sorry about that. We'll be back for probably some more Foundations, and shortly after that, another set too, right?
Yeah, very soon.
Aether Drift. Normally we get a Christmas Eve spoiler or a Christmas spoiler, so we should be getting something from Aether Drift probably right before you listen to this.
Yeah, we're going to see if we get the legendary artifact Planeswalker
Aether Spark.
Spoiled. Aether Spark, yeah.
And then after that, we'll be right into Aether Spark, I would imagine. So, yeah, like Brian said, if there's anything that you want us to ramble on about for an hour for your listening pleasure, hit us up. Links are in the description. If you want to support the show, there's a couple ways you can do that. The first is our TCG player affiliate link, CasualTryHard.com/TCG. Surf on over there, spend your Christmas money, buy whatever Magic cards you're looking for, support the show at the same time. It doesn't cost you anything extra and really helps us out. If you want to support us more directly, Patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG is where you can do that. Patrons get access to our show notes, so you get a sneak peek about what the episode's going to be about. And you also get access to our unshow, about another hour of content out of us every week. We're old, our equipment doesn't work sometimes, and we need to catch up. So we record that and post it for our patrons to enjoy. Seem like they do. So if you're interested in that, or like I said, just want to support the show, Patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. Chip a couple bucks in, support the show, get more of us.
Yeah, so as I was complaining about before we started recording, I clicked on our link and I was like, is Ball Lightning legal in Standard? And the answer is yes. But again, I just want to point out, it is this set with like all the different places cards are, and it's like not clear what is legal and what is not.
Yeah.
Is like super annoying, and I don't know how it's like new player friendly in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it seems kind of the exact opposite of new player friendly.
Yeah, it's like, I opened this pack, it said Foundations on it. Can I play these cards?
Maybe.
Unclear.
Maybe.
Definitely maybe. They have casting costs on them, so in theory, you can play them.
You can play them somewhere, just maybe not in Standard.
Yeah, we don't know where you can play them, but somewhere.
Yep.
So
same format as before. We're just going to kind of scroll through, and if there's something you want to talk about, let me know, and I'll post the card up.
Okay, we're going to just start with like a very unexciting one. We'll start with a Braid.
I was thinking that that's what we were going to do.
So a Braid, I think we all know, is 1 in the red for an instant. Choose 1, deal 3 damage to target creature, destroy target artifact.
Mm-hmm.
Right, just like a super good nuts and bolt standard card.
Absolutely.
Sees play. I mean, we're going to a plane that presumably will have large vehicles and Gear Hulkish type monsters.
Yep.
So, like, a Braid seems like it'll be good. It's interesting that it's going to be around for like 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So does this, like we talked about, part of what this set may allow them to do is we don't have to print a Braid into a standard legal set for years now.
Right.
So can they print other like riffs on this card?
Potentially.
Or other things that are slightly different because they don't need to just have a Braid forever and ever?
Yeah. Frees up room in the set for more exciting cards.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think like back in your mind, we've had a Braid legal and standard for
a long time.
Yeah, for a very long time. So this is kind of a natural place for it. And I'm glad it's here. I mean, this is the exact kind of card that I would hope is going to be in the set that defines standard. And that's kind of what Foundations is, right?
Yeah, because it like lets you, it gives you a like release valve for artifacts, and like it's not dead in non-artifact matchups.
Yep.
Right. It makes sure that things can't get too far like out of whack.
Yep.
In standard, but yeah, like, has it been legal for like 3 years already or something? Because
was it in Midnight Hunt?
As I'm looking at right now, it was in Crimson Vow.
Crimson Vow.
So it was in Crimson Vow, and then they put it in Lost Caverns of Ixalan, and now it's in Foundation. So yeah, like it's gonna be legal for like 7 years.
Yeah.
Which is kind of wild.
But
again, it is kind of like having Pithing Needle legal. It's if you need it, it's good that it's there, and if you don't need it,
it doesn't hurt anything.
It doesn't hurt anything to be there.
Yep. Got another card in mind. I got one, but I don't know if there's something you want to do before it.
No, go ahead. I don't have anything.
All right. So this was one
our listener request.
This was the listener request. This is Bolt Bend. 3 and a red for an instant. This spell costs 3 less to cast if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, and it says change the target of target spell or ability with a single target.
So I thought they wanted Bolt Wave.
No.
No. Okay.
I don't think so.
Right. It says Bolt Wave in the notes, but that's all right. We can talk about Bolt Bend because that was the one I was thinking about saying.
Yep.
I mean, it's like it's kind of a like 1 mana red counterspell.
Kind of, sorta. We've had a couple different versions of this. There was a period of time, I don't know, within Fire Design, however you want to define that, where we had, I think, a couple of these legal in standard.
Well, Bolt Bends from War of the Spark is where it was originally printed.
What I meant was, we've had a couple different versions of this card that were standard legal at the same time, I think.
Okay.
Like there was multiple of this effect, I guess is the better way to say.
Yeah.
It doesn't always see play, but it can certainly save your bacon if the timing is
like,
right.
If you are like some sort of like red green monsters deck in like in a world of what is it called? Go for the throats, right? Like having this as like a thing you can bring in.
Yep.
So, save your like on turn 4, play something and then use Bolt Bend to protect it. Like play your like 3 mana 4/2, whatever that the guy who like draws a card when a big thing comes into play.
Yeah.
Right? Or I guess you could, what's it called? I want to say Showdown, but that's not right. Whatever the like weird suspend mechanic, whatever it is.
Oh yeah.
Plot.
Plot.
You can plot it and then protect it with this.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's like a savage 2-for-1 if you like redirect the creature.
Oh yeah, this is definitely a blowout.
Their creature.
Like if your mono black opponent goes to go for the throat and you cast one of these and they tag their own shield dread.
Yeah, like you get to like do a victory lap.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we should do Bolt Wave.
Sure, I that is the one that I meant to grab.
That is fine. So Bolt Wave is red for a sorcery. Bolt Wave deals 3 damage to each opponent. So this is
slightly better Lava Spike.
I was gonna say, does it reach the level of strictly better Lava Spike?
I don't think so. Isn't Lava Spike an arcane spell?
It might be.
Like randomly, which would mean this isn't strictly better, it's just a variant.
Fair.
Lava Spike with set mechanic.
Yeah. Lava Spike is an arcane spell.
I thought so.
It can be spliced if need be. So I think the thing to realize is that like Bolt Wave is bad.
Yeah.
So these kind of effects that only go face are like really narrow and go into like one specific type of deck
Yeah.
that has a critical mass of
Burn.
1 mana deal threes,
Right.
like to the face, right? Like, if you have a Bolt Wave and your opponent plays a Llanowar Elf, like they're gonna play a 3-drop on turn 2 because you
Can't
can't
kill
deal
it.
with it, right? Like this is a big step down from Lightning Bolt or
Mhm.
even like Shock.
Yeah.
But in like, do I think that it has like a place in like, could you play it in like Modern Burn over like Skewer the Critics,
Possibly.
right? Where you don't need the spectacle.
Yeah.
Like, sure. And it also like, well, okay. I guess Lava Spike does say 3 damage to target player or planeswalker.
Oh, yeah.
Now, target is a big deal because not that Modern is in a place where you get to play Leyline of Sanctity
Yeah.
against Burn, but Bolt Wave does to each opponent, so it doesn't target.
Doesn't target.
So it
Yeah.
does get around like Leyline of Sanctity or like any other like hexproof type effect.
Mhm.
But yeah, Bolt Wave. If there is like a you know Pioneer burn deck that is like Bolt Wave, Boros Charm, Skullcrack,
Yeah.
those kind of things, then like Bolt Wave has a home. But those decks have become like creature pump spell decks because we've just printed absurd pump spells.
Right. Well,
Um,
and some absurd creatures to pump also.
this is true. Yeah, we have good things to pump and just like you know what is it? Monstrous Rage is +3/+1 the turn you play it, and then every time it gets in, it's another 1 damage.
Yeah.
And like on a prowess creature, it's really +4/+2,
Mhm.
right? Like you can't like Bolt Wave can't compete with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a weird, I don't know what you call it, dichotomy almost, where like that deck exists and that deck kind of took the spot of like what a mono red burn deck would be.
Mm-hmm.
But I know in a recent episode, maybe not last week, or I think it was last week, we were talking about Boggles a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how like both of those decks are very similar play styles. Where
Yes.
like Boggles, you just want to put pants on the nerd and then crack in, but like that prowess deck is like plays very, because of the creatures that it plays very close to Boggles, except
Mm-hmm.
like you almost don't want the hexproof because you want your nerd to crack in and die or whatever.
Oh yeah, the ones that like deal
Yeah.
damage when they die.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like Boggles is like protect the queen, like put pants on it,
Yeah.
and the mono red decks are kind of like, one, you're putting breakaway pants on, like they're just on there for a second. And two, like it gets to a point where you're just like, okay, like if you block this thing and it dies, you die.
Right.
And if you don't block this thing, you die.
Right.
Or, it's Swift Spear into like double pump spell, take 10 on turn 2 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, oh, well,
Yep.
crap. Where like Boggles doesn't get to have a turn like that, but
Yeah.
might like get lifelink and then you can never win that matchup. But it is weird that they are very similar and like,
Yeah.
I need to have A and B and go, where it used to be like, okay, you'd Swift Spear and then you would Lightning Bolt.
Mm-hmm.
Or you would like Swift Spear and the next turn you're like, Lava Spike, Lightning Bolt, get in for some damage. And now it's just like Monstrous Rage on my thing. It seems like it's way more fragile, but it's so hard to like, people just can't interact with it.
It's way more punishing.
Yeah. Like if they interact with it, you're just like left with a pile of cards that do literal nothing.
Right.
Where like Burn only had that in like the sideboard games where they were like Leyline and you were like, well, none of these cards have any text. Like
Yeah.
I really hope I find something.
So you kind of set me up for the next point that I wanted to make about this card also.
Okay.
where you were talking about mono red decks and how like this is a burn card. Like through and through, this is a burn card. This is meant to close a game after you've got some damage in and kind of petered out. Like this is what gets you over the finish line. So thinking about the formats where this might see play in, which is probably standard and or pioneer, maybe modern, but that's kind of a stretch, I think. The red decks in those formats are that deck that we were just talking about. And I don't think this card fits into that deck.
No.
Like this does something very different from what that deck is. As long as that deck is the like de facto mono red deck for the format or nearly mono red, I don't think this guy has a home. Like you're not going to play this in like a monsters deck.
No.
And you're not going to play this in like, you know, some sort of blue red tempo deck.
No, it's like these cards are like purely played for like the how much damage can I get per mana? And this is effectively capped at 3.
Right.
You could make an argument like 4 with a prowess creature, right?
Sure.
But like Monstrous Rage can deal infinite damage, right? Because it's adding 1 extra damage permanently. So the first time it gets in, it's 3.
Yep.
But then if that creature gets in again, it's dealt a 4th damage.
Right.
And if it gets in again, it's dealt a 5th damage. So you gotten, 5 damage for 1 mana. Right? Like that's why like Eidolon was good, because you'd like pay 2 mana for your Eidolon and then they'd cast 3 spells into it and you'd get 6 damage for 2 mana.
Right.
And 1 card. And like Monstrous Rage and like combined with the creatures that get a +1/+1 counter when you target them.
Yep.
Like whatever the Heartfire Hero or whatever. Yep. Like you just end up getting so much incidental damage from those cards that you can't get from this.
Right.
Right? Like what was the Philosophy of Fire? It was like cast 7 spells, win the game.
Yep.
Right? Like the current red decks are like cast 5 spells, win the game.
Yep.
Right. They're just getting to do they're getting to do it faster. Which is so this is gonna have a hard time keeping up with that.
Yep.
But like if they print like another good burn spell. Right? Like maybe you could shift it where you're like, oh, there's another 1 mana deal 3.
Yep.
And then we have Boros Charm, Lightning Helix. Well, now we're looking at like
there you go.
burn spells.
Yeah, I forgot we had Boros Charm, Lightning Helix.
And now Bolt Wave. So if there's another like 1 mana deal damage thing, like the people that like that playstyle may like be like, okay, I can play this deck now.
Screaming
but we're
Nemesis.
Like, we don't have enough burn spells. We don't have that critical mass to make Bolt Wave good enough. And so, like, and Bolt Wave's not good enough to make us try to make it good.
Right.
Right. If it's one mana deal 4, then you're like, oh, now we're cooking. Right. But then that's too good.
I mean, exactly what you said is true, though. This Bolt Wave might not put you in like a mono red burn deck, but if your goal is to play a Boros Charm, Lightning Helix deck, this probably does take a slot in that deck. I don't think that deck's any quicker than like the current versions of red, but
it's probably slower.
Yeah.
But if there is like another burn spell that pushes you in that direction, like having Bolt Wave here shores that deck up. Where so like they have the freedom to like print that card.
Yeah.
And then like, oh hey, we have like you can play burn. And there are some people that like that play style of like kind of doing the math of like, okay, how can I like win with these like crappy creatures and burn spells?
Yep.
That because like I feel like that playstyle is a little bit less fragile than how am I going to win with like crappy creatures and pump spells. So, all right, we spent a lot of time on a 1 mana deal 3.
We did.
How about bulk up?
Sure. Cards like that, just one more thing. Cards like this, I think, are sometimes more interesting to talk about than, whatever mythic rare with a whole paragraph of text, because you can kind of talk about strategy a little bit instead of just like raw power that the card holds.
Yep.
And I think those are good conversations to have.
So, oh, someone's visiting me.
I see that or hear that.
He's on the other side.
Hey, buddy.
Daddy,
We're mid-podcast, bud.
Daddy, can I walk with you?
No, buddy. Daddy's got a podcast.
Not
Come
right
on.
now, buddy.
Kevin, no, sir. No, sir. Come on. Kevin, come on.
Got a bonus for
getting-
YouTube this week.
People are getting slice of life content.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Kevin, no, sir. It is bedtime.
Come on, buddy. Let's go.
Come on. Kevin. Child.
Child. Kevin.
Kevin, come on, buddy.
Please.
You're messing up Daddy's green screen. Come on. Go.
Come on, bud. Come on.
Come on. There we go. Okay. Sorry.
That's all right.
Words you'd never thought you'd hear on the podcast. Come on, you're messing up Daddy's green screen.
That's right. The trials and tribulations of having the podcast studio right beside his bedroom.
That's right.
So he comes. So he refers to the room as Daddy's podcast.
Ah.
So can we
the
go
whole
on
room.
Daddy's podcast? And he wants to come here. I want to watch football on Daddy's podcast. So
Okay.
he'll come in and like watch football. All right. So bulk up is 1 on the red for an instant. Double target creature's power until end of turn, and it has flashback for 4 red.
Mhm.
I mean, it's 1 extra mana than like Berserk. It's
True.
like it's some part of Team or Battle Rage.
Mm-hmm.
Uh oh. Hey, buddy, be good.
No.
Did you hear him?
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, be good.
No.
So like Team or Battle Rage got played for a while. Now, granted, it gave Trample, which is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Same with Berserk, but like I could definitely see a deck where you're like, kind of like the red decks that we have,
Mhm.
where it's like, hey, I like pump it, I like play my Monstrous Rage and then play bulk up.
Yeah.
And like make it a 10 power creature or something.
Yeah, so like what's a Swift Spear? On turn 3, I
Turn
guess.
3. So it would be it'd become a 5-4 or 5-3. 5-3 +1/+1 no, a 5-4. And then 3, 5-4.
It'll be a 10-4.
No, because you get another trigger in there.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
it'd be a 12.
Yep.
So you can just 12 someone with trample on turn 3.
Mhm.
Now, like spells like this have like the fail case of like +1/+1,
Absolutely.
right? So like that's why
They also play
It's
really
not-
nice with double strike though.
they do. So like, but like this seems like a card that does not need to have flashback because the whole point of it is that you kill them the turn you cast it.
Yeah, I mean I don't think you're ever like paying 8 mana to cast this thing and then flash it back.
Yeah, like you have lost the game.
Yeah.
Because you have flooded out.
Yep.
If you are able to do that. But just like an interesting like pump spell, like
Sure.
it's not as good as Team or Battle Rage, but it is some part of it.
Mhm.
That if there's a deck that wants that.
Yep. I got one more real quick. Again, it's not like a super exciting card, but it's a card that's interesting in the context that we're in.
Oh.
Crash Through.
Okay.
Red mana for a sorcery. Creatures you control gain trample till end of turn. Draw a card. This has definitely seen play competitively, just as a cantrip.
Yes,
So-
a red cantrip.
Yep. The
Like we had this, there's one that was like gave first strike.
yeah. Gaining trample doesn't super matter or hardly ever matter, but just red mana, draw a card. Plays really well with storm strategies or like spellslinger strategies. So, and this is going to be in standard for a while. So who knows what they're going to print into the format? Let's see. I could definitely see this being a
card that sees play and does
Yeah.
stuff. Also, like the fact that it doesn't target,
Mhm.
where like the mouse one
right.
that like draws you a card at targets, Right. This works in like decks that don't have a lot of creatures, where you're like some 18 land red deck, and
Right.
it just lets you cycle it.
Yep.
It's like, we know how powerful 1 mana cyclers are.
Mhm.
This is just a 1 mana cycler with like more words.
Yep.
Right. It would probably see as much play if it had no casting cost and just said one cycle.
Yep.
Or like red cycle.
Yep. Well,
Um,
I mean, honestly, it's better that it's a spell though, because the deck that
It
want
is.
this wouldn't, like, they probably wouldn't pay like 1 mana cycle. They want the, like, it's
they
a
want
spell.
the spell.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about Dropkick Bomber?
Upkick Bomber. I am not familiar with this card, so go ahead and read it.
It is 2 and a red for a Goblin Warrior. All other goblins you control get +1/+1. It itself is a 2/3.
Mhm.
And you can pay red until end of turn. Another target goblin you control gains flying, and when this creature deals combat damage, sacrifice it.
Okay.
It is basically like a goblin that casts like jump,
Yeah.
or like kind of fling.
Yep.
It just gives all of your it's a goblin that has like all of your goblins are effectively red. Fling them.
Mhm.
Now you have to attack with them, but
I
red
mean, this is
fling.
pretty cute with Rabble Master.
Okay, you just throw your Rabble Master up in the air.
Yeah, and it like doesn't even have to do anything. It just
Yeah.
gets big and then dies.
I mean, it's 2 and a red, so it's like relatively easy to cast.
Mhm.
It's a lord, right? Like I know you were messing around with a goblin deck. Like this
Yeah.
kind of seems like it like fits in there.
Mhm.
So all in all, seems pretty good. It's so bad. I just checked. Like, is this standard legal? Because I've not seen anyone talk about it.
I also have not.
Yeah, but it is standard legal.
I haven't seen it in any limited games. I haven't seen anybody cast it. I haven't haven't seen anybody talk about it.
It is it's only available in the beginner box.
Oh,
That's why it's not been in any limited games.
why?
Because it can't be.
Yep.
What else you got? I'm scrolling here.
All right. How about this one? Firebrand Archer.
There you go.
1 in a red for a 2/1. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this deals 1 damage to each opponent. We were just talking about the Spell Slinger deck. This is something that deck might be interested in. I've also seen this card as a payoff for eggs,
Oh yeah.
because your eggs are non-creature spells, artifacts. You can burn an opponent out that way.
I guess perhaps not going in order. We can also bring up Gutter Snipe.
Yep, sure.
Which is in like the same vein.
Yep.
It is 2 and a red for a Goblin Shaman. This is a 2/2, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this creature deals 2 damage to each opponent. So it's 1 more mana, but deals twice the damage.
Yeah.
So like if there is like a red, like Spell Slinger, like Thermo Alchemist kind of deck that exists in standard, like these 2 cards are the ones that kind of are going to make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's worth like taking turn 2 off to play this guy, taking turn 3 off to play a Gutter Snipe, and then like having your Bolt Wave deal 6.
Yeah,
I don't think that's really
and then
where you wanna be.
and then going off.
Yeah.
But you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I
But,
do
like,
like this Gutter Snipe art.
Yeah, it's cool, but it also like has that like computer generated feel that like current Magic art has.
Oh yeah,
I mean, because I'm sure it was like made on an iPad or whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, it's cool, but it's not old timey art.
Definitely.
Flame Lake Phoenix.
Sure.
So Flame Lake Phoenix is from Fate Reforged. Originally?
Yes, I think so.
So it's 1 red for a Phoenix. It's a 2/2 with flying and haste, and it attacks each combat if able. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, if you have a creature with power 4 or greater, you may pay red. when you do, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So once it dies, or once it's in the graveyard, as long as you have a big creature, you can pay a red and get it back.
Mm-hmm.
And it can't ever block, it always has to attack at that point.
Right.
But it is a thing that comes back. So if we have ways to like discard for value,
mm-hmm.
then this is a thing that like comes back, that can come back and like give you that value. It is not currently seeing play. It's been kind of replaced by a different Phoenix.
Yeah.
But it did see play for a long time in Modern in the Hollow One decks.
Yep.
So it is just kind of a card that if there is like discard for value, and then big red creature like some 3-mana 4/4 or whatever, or 4/2.
Yeah.
Then there is a 2-mana 4/2. Then this thing gets to come back and on the cheap.
Yeah. Whenever I look at a Phoenix, probably just because that's when I got back into Magic, but I'm reminded of is it Chandra's Phoenix, the one from M14?
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, I always have to compare whatever Phoenix we get to that one, because that one was pretty good. And when you first read this card, it doesn't read as good as Chandra's Phoenix does.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because it goes in a different deck. Kind of like
does.
We were talking about Bolt Wave, like the kind of deck that wants to play Bolt Wave is typically where you'd see like a Chandra's Phoenix. But this deck, like you said, wants to be in a discard for value style shell, not really the trying to get every point of damage in, and like the Phoenix can come back and close the game after everything's all burnt out.
Yeah. It's like you play the Phoenix, you play Chandra's Phoenix, they have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And then you cast a burn spell and get it back. This is, I think, more like it gets discarded. You have some way to like trigger it and bring it back.
Yeah.
So you want that discard for like, it's a card that's great with Faithless Looting.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It'd be a card like that, if Arc like Phoenix didn't exist, right? If you like, it's not bad to like Lightning Axe away if you have like a game plan where you have big creatures that can trigger it and get it back.
Yep.
Like those kind of things where you're like, I'll use it to pay this cost, but then I know my deck is built in a way to get it back.
Yeah. Real quick before we move on, like the weird thing about this card is it's, unless you're discarding it for value, its stats don't really line up with what it wants to do.
Mm-mm.
It's almost like a win more card. Like you want to have a big creature in play and then get back your 2/2. Do you really need the 2/2 if you already have like a big creature in play?
No.
You know what I mean?
Really.
It's just kind of weird. Like it works in Hollow One because you're cheating out the Hollow One for like nothing. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was kind of weird.
Yeah, like, do you want to pay if you're making 4-power creatures on the cheap?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
you need a 2/2?
Really, yeah, do you need a 2/2 for a red? Maybe not. So there's a bunch of reprints that are, but then there's Goblin Negotiation, which is a new card.
Okay.
That has a lot of text.
Does have a lot of text. Does that mean it's good?
So it is X red for a sorcery. It deals X damage to target creature. Create a number of 1/1 red goblin creature tokens equal to the amount of excess damage dealt to that creature this way.
Okay.
This might be a cautionary tale. Like red X has not been a good enough spell in a long time. Right, because they played a 4/4. You've got to like pay 6 mana to kill it.
Yeah.
Right, and you get nothing other than that damage until you pay like more. You have to pay 7 mana to kill it and get a goblin.
Yeah.
Right, it's just not good enough for Modern Magic anymore. Like I don't even know if it's good in like Limited.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember seeing this card played much. The only thing I could think of is it's kind of flood protection. because like if you get to 6 mana and you tag one of their things and turn this into 3 goblins, like it's better than another land, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not that it's a great rate.
It is not. All right, you got something here?
I don't. I'm kind of scrolling a little bit.
I mean, there's the kitty.
Sure, we can talk about the kitty.
This is another reprint, but it's a good one.
I think we mentioned it earlier, didn't we?
Yeah, because we talked about Demonic Pact.
Yeah.
Right? So Harmless Offering, 2 and a red, sorcery. Target opponent gains control of target permanent you control. So this is, you have a permanent that is bad for you, and you give it to your opponent.
Yep.
So it's Demonic Pact, and then I think there's a card from like the Outlaws from the Vault or whatever the heck it was called.
Yeah.
That like you like drew
Big
3
score.
cards. Yeah. You drew 3 cards, you like made 3 1/1s, and then you gain life, and then you like each upkeep you discarded a card, sacked a creature.
Yeah.
And lost life. Right? Like that's a great card to give your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 2 things that are good to give away.
Mm-hmm.
And we have this plus the blue disguise guy.
Mm-hmm.
That lets you flip it up and like give your opponent something to get cards. So we have like ways to like give the cards away.
Yeah, I mean you also have what's his name? The oil demon.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I've
Archfiend
ever
of the Drost.
Yeah, unless I killed it, I don't think I've ever like had an opponent lose to their own Archfiend of the Dross before. So
I've lost to my own Archfiend.
Have you? Okay.
Yes, can confirm it happens from time to time.
Yeah. Typically, if like I don't have a removal spell for it, I just die to it.
Yeah.
But this could be a way to do something with that, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there is a way to move oil counters, isn't there?
I think.
I mean, it sounds like a terrible deck, but
yeah. But like the Harmless Offering does do the like thing.
Yeah.
Of like it is, if they print more things that like are bad for you,
mm-hmm.
then like Harmless Offering goes up in value.
Yep.
Because like, you know, Greed's Gambit is the thing from the big score.
Okay.
Right? You give that thing away. All right, cool. Now they're like slowly dying. Plus, you have a bunch of like bodies.
Mm-hmm.
If you give away Demonic Pact, like hopefully you've done it in such a way that they just die.
Right.
So like it does enable a deck that wouldn't be possible otherwise.
Yeah.
But it might require like an extra like trade effect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unless you're like doing it for value in like a mid-range deck, where like you have some ways to sacrifice permanents also, or you don't necessarily have to give it away. You could sacrifice it if you want.
Yeah, Greed's Gambit doesn't deal well with being sacrificed because you have to pay. You have to pay everything up front then.
Yeah. We probably have to talk about this card.
I was just to that card.
Okay. This is a Kellen Planar Trailblazer. Single red mana for a 2/1 legendary human fairy scout. You can pay 1 and a red. If Kellen is a scout, it becomes a human fairy detective. It gains whenever Kellen deals combat damage to a player. Exile the top card of your library. You may play this turn. And you can pay 2 and a red. If Kellen is a detective, it becomes a 3/2 human fairy rogue and gains double strike. So it's kind of like a level up creature. This card would have been absurd like 8 years ago.
Yes. I mean, think about like Zurgo saw play.
Yeah.
And
I was thinking like Fire Drinker Satyr.
Oh yeah, God, yeah.
Yeah.
So like we've seen these like level up creatures before.
Mm-hmm.
They can be pretty good. They've designed this one a little bit on the safe side because you can't go turn 1, play it, turn 2, like activate it, get value. Right? Because you spend all of your mana to make it a 2/1 Ragavan.
Right.
Like a 3 mana 2/1 Ragavan that doesn't give you a treasure. But then you can't play anything that you hit them with.
Right.
And it doesn't like it doesn't make him attack better either.
Right.
Right. So like if they played a 1/1, you can't like pay the mana and then get through their 1/1.
Mm-hmm.
So it almost feels like if it would have been like, hey, it gets double strike for 2.
Yeah.
And then for 3,
It's the other text.
It becomes a 3/1 or a 3/2 and gets the like get a card ability. It'd probably be better.
It's also kind of weird that it gains a point of toughness and double strike at the same time. Like that point of toughness does not matter in the least when it has double strike.
Exactly. Like you're gonna put like a 4/4 in front of it and like trade.
Yeah.
Or it's just gonna eat everything.
Yeah.
And that point of toughness doesn't matter. It's not like there's a bunch of like 1/4s flying around.
Right.
Also, like a deck that I want to kind of put together in Pioneer is I talked briefly about like there's like floating around at the fringes like this Boros like Legends deck that uses Mox Amber.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like it played Zergo. This is way better than Zergo.
It definitely is.
And like this synergizes in the late game with Pia Nalar, the whatever the red white Pia is.
Yeah.
Right, it gives you things to play out of exile.
Yep.
So, like, it does a little bit there, but yeah, like it is awkward that it feels like it is a card that was great 8 years ago, but now it's like it's okay. So,
yep.
We got to talk about Krenko, right?
I believe so. I was just looking at Krenko.
So Krenko is Krenko Mob Boss, beloved Goblins card.
Yep.
2 red for a legendary creature, Goblin Warrior. It's a 3/3, and it has tap, create X 1/1 red Goblin creature tokens, where X is the number of goblins you control.
Yep. Krenko is a must kill on site.
Yes, and if you have some way to give it haste, like a creature that taps and gives target creature haste, right? That like, if you can make it so you don't have to wait to untap with Krenko to activate him, Krenko is great.
Yep.
Krenko is significantly less good if you have to like wait a turn. So I don't remember was it in Historic or something where there were the the Muxus decks.
Yeah.
Where
Historic.
you'd like be able to give Krenko haste.
Yep.
And like just tap it and make a bajillion goblins and then kill them. Like
so many goblins.
That's where like Krenko shines.
Yep. Much else in red here?
There's not a ton. Some of these I feel like we had like before or something
just kind
similar.
of reprints.
Yeah, where you're like it's good that this is here, but like.
So this is a new card for Pioneer and Standard.
Okay.
Stromkirk Noble. That's a red mana for a 1/1 Vampire Noble. It can't be blocked by humans, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on it. I don't think I've seen many lists running this. Is this standard legal?
It's in the starter collection.
Okay.
So I assume so.
Okay. Anything with this block of text has potential to get out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
What was the last one? Red Horde Butcher?
Yes.
Like, got out of hand super quick.
Like, you basically just have to, like, get one hit in with this. Like, this card has kind of the Ragavan thing about it of, like, Ragavan really is amazing on the play and less good on the draw. Like, on the play, this card, like, they don't have a 1-drop. You just get to get in and make it a 2/2. So it's always, like, either kind of at, like, trading size or it can eat their play.
Yep.
If you're on the draw, it's always going to be a little bit too small to snowball. But, like, if you back it up with, like, good removal, like, we kind of skipped over, like, Burst Lightning. But if you back it up with, like, Burst Lightning, or if we get Shock or something, or a Braid where you can, like, get it in and, like, get those couple hits in to get it to the point where it's always a little too big, then it can be good.
Yep. Not that it's in the correct colors either, but there are a couple cards we have currently that, like, double up your counters.
Yeah.
So that could be a thing as well.
I do find it funny. There's like, I think 2 different red cards that just are like double the damage.
Yeah.
Do it. Like, okay, we know what this is about. Like, thank you for our commander cards. It's interesting. I didn't realize that we had a changeling card in standard.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a commander card for a while, but I don't think it's ever really seen any competitive play. Taurine Mauler, 2 and a red for a 2/2 shapeshifter with changeling, and whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may put a +1/+1 counter on this creature.
Yeah, it's kind of, what was the green one?
Yeah, I was gonna say we had was it Mana Gorger Hydra?
Yes. But it had trample, right?
It did, yeah.
Yeah, like, I've never seen this card before.
I'm pretty sure it was a command.
It is. It goes all the way back to, like, Arch Enemy.
Way back when.
It was originally printed in Morningtide. I've never seen this card.
I didn't realize it was in Morningtide.
Yeah, like, I like just was like, okay, Scryfall. But yeah, it's all the way back to Morningtide. Never knew. I mean, it's like every printing's like kind of like over $1. A lot of them are like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So I guess, like, in a 4-player game, it gains a lot of counters really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like, it's probably not good enough for standard, which is kind of wild to say.
Right.
It's interesting, like the big knock on creatures. Right, you know, the bad analysis of creatures was, oh, it dies to Doomblade.
Yeah.
Right. But, like, now we have like 4 different Doomblades.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, also, like, Modern Magic is more about what can you do for me right now instead of what can you do for me.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's about getting paid off as soon as the card resolves. And we've talked about it before. Like, Modern Magic is resource deploying
instead of resource management.
He's in rare form today. Santa Claus is coming to town, but he does not know how to be nice. Only naughty. Only naughty. So yeah, like, this is like, I'd not ever seen this card before, but it is kind of just like an Mana Gorge. I was more like, we have changelings in standard.
Just the one, I think.
Just the one. Could be anything.
Even a bull.
Even a bull, yeah. Is bull a creature type?
Is that?
Type line. No, bull is not a creature type.
Then it cannot be a bull.
Boo, it should be a bull.
Well,
or like a minotaur who got sleepy.
Yeah.
Just like went down on all fours. Creature type sleepy minotaur.
I definitely don't think we have time for green.
We probably do not.
Is there anything else in red you want to talk about? Anything we skipped?
I don't think the only thing that was like a little interesting in like kind of the snowball thing or like way of thinking of cards is Sear Slicer Goblin.
Oh yeah, there it is.
So it is 1 in the red for a Goblin Warrior that's a 2/1. It has Raid at the beginning of your end step. If you attack this turn, create a 1/1 Goblin creature token.
Oh yeah.
It's
Like a delayed Rabble Master.
Yeah, but especially like if you are like on the play
Mhm.
and you play some goblin on turn 1.
Yep.
You can attack before you play this.
Mhm.
And if they take it or they, or they don't have a blocker, then you play this and you get a 1/1 right away.
Yeah.
And like you can just kind of use it to slowly like gain advantage, and like it's good if you have like the Lord, right? You get to like
Mhm.
play the Lord. Now you have a bunch of 2/2s.
Yep.
And they'll replace themselves.
It's also good with the Rabble Masters because they, like, the tokens usually have to attack, like War Boss or Rabble Master or whatever.
Yeah, so like this if you can go like 1, 2, 3,
Mhm.
is like making you wide, and it's a thing that they have to kill.
Yeah.
Right. So you're like, oh, like I've got to kill this 2-drop, and maybe they've used their removal spell before you get to get your, and you get to like sneak your more powerful 3-drop through or whatever.
Yep.
Like I played against this with it, like in some of the few games of Limited I played, and I was like, this card's pretty good. So that was the only other thing that I was like, oh, hey. So we're a little short. We could cheat and talk about the 2 cards that the Discord wanted us to talk about. We can like sneak them in here now.
Oh yeah, we can do that.
So we have Loot Exuberant Explorer, which I have no idea what it does. So I'm assuming it's green.
It is green.
That's the play an extra land guy, right?
Yep. Why don't you read this one off and I'll get the other one teed up.
All right. So it's 2 and a green for a 1/4. There's that 1/4 to block Kellen.
There you go.
You may pay an additional land on each of your turns. And then 4 green. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control from among them, and put it onto the battlefield and put the rest on the bottom in a random order. So it is just like this creature, like 2 and a green, some like defensive stat, play an extra land.
Mm-hmm.
Has like been perpetually playable. Like
yeah, Corsair, Crewfix, Jolly Green Giant.
And then it like Wayward Swordtooth.
Oh yeah,
is like a commander staple.
Yep.
Right, like Wayward Swordtooth's just like I'm an enchantment effectively until like you have 8 lands or whatever, kind of like the Topiary Stomper.
Yep.
Right, and then this just has like, you can in theory on turn 4 activate it, right? Like if you have like you go this on 3, play a land, have 4 lands, turn 4 land activate. Right, and like hopefully find a 6-drop.
Yeah, like that. I think that's what's holding me back a little bit on this card. Typically, you don't get the payoff on the card that's enabling you, and this does give you both. Like on Corsair, you incidentally gained a life. On Jolly Green Giant, you incidentally like fixed your mana. But neither of those really pay you off. Where like this pays you off for getting to 6. But like I guess is the 6 mana to look at the top 6 cards worth just like casting something instead? Because you're probably not going to have much in your deck that's like you're getting ahead on mana. You're just getting that extra card.
I mean, it does scale. Like as you play more lands, it goes from hitting a 6-drop to a 7-drop to an 8-drop. Like if that matters. Well,
right, but like realistically, what's going to be the deck that is playing this card? What's going to be in that deck that's worth more than getting ahead on mana here? Because like you paid 3 mana to put the thing into play, and it's not like it's getting in the red zone with 1 power.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you're
I don't know,
9 mana into it's over a couple turns, but you're 9 mana
Yeah.
into this thing.
But like, are you just happy with a 1/4 that lets you play an extra land each turn for like turns 3 and 4? Right? It's kind of like it's like a
I don't know that you are in Modern Magic though. Like Azusa was legal and didn't see. I mean, it saw some play, but didn't see a ton of play, and that gets you 2 lands.
true.
And like
True.
Jolly Green Giant saw play, but it's because it makes your lands every land type.
It's because it makes them mountains.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have a bounce land,
Mhm.
and like spelunking seen play, but spelunking is like different because it like brings your lands into play untapped.
Yeah.
So, like, it's hard because like the like Tatiova, right? Like draws you a card and like gets you more lands.
Mhm.
Like this, like if you just play it on 3 and you don't have a land,
Right.
like you have to have some way to like fill your hand back up to get more lands.
Yeah.
Right? Like it doesn't really ramp you. Like that's what was good about Topiary Stomper was it ramped you.
Yeah.
Right? Like you always knew it was getting you a land. Like you can play this and just like, right? You have a hand that's 3 lands in this. You don't know if you're going to hit your 4th land.
Courser also, because it lets you play lands from the top of your library.
Yeah, it like let you draw a card to some degree.
Yeah.
Like it drew you a card from time to time. This doesn't get to do that.
It drew you a third of a card every turn.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like if there's a deck that wants you to play extra land drops, like if they print more bounce lands,
Mhm.
right? Like where you're like, okay, like play my like, turn 3 play this, then you play a bounce land,
Yeah.
and pick up your land. Like now you're kind of like doing something,
Mhm.
right? But I don't know if there's a deck for that.
Yeah, I don't know.
And you're right, like the ability is like nice, but like it gives you like, right, ramp decks run into like I have all my ramp but none of my fatties, or in the words of Kenji, all ramp no pamp.
Yeah.
Right. Right. This gives you a way to look for your fatty.
Yeah.
Right. So like you can find a 6-drop if you could cast a 6-drop, so it gives you at least like kind of flood insurance or like a bailout.
Yeah. I mean,
but,
I guess if you like hit an Atali off of this, which is a card we could have talked about but didn't, like that'd probably be worth it.
Mm-hmm. But like, but still, like, is that Atali 6?
Yeah, the one in this
Okay.
set is 6.
Yeah. So like, there are some things that you could hit that would be worth it, but I think of this more as, I think the ability is more when you have ramped, but then you don't have a payoff. Like this is ramp and then spin the wheel to a payoff.
Yeah.
Right, as opposed to just like, like you could argue that cultivate's probably better,
Mhm.
but like cultivate never gets to draw you an Atali.
Right.
Right. This could get to draw you a big thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, it is a very kind of specific kind of deck, and they said Azusa didn't see play.
Yeah.
Now, granted, a 1/4 is a little bit more sturdy than a
Then a 1/2.
Than a 1/2, yeah.
Yeah, but 2 lands per turn is
A lot.
like in order of magnitude more than 1 land per turn.
It's double.
Well, it feels like more than double. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you,
Right, and then
if your opponent plays a Azusa and then drops 2 lands, like you are so far behind.
Mm-hmm. Because now they're playing like a 5 or a 6-drop the next turn. And then our last thing was Alicia, who smiles at death. Not smiles at death. That was the old one.
That was the old one. Laughs at fate. Went from
Okay.
smiling at death to laughing at fate.
Always happy.
Yep.
So what's this one? This is a Rakdos card. This is all you.
1 black-red for a 2/2 legendary human warrior with first strike. Whenever it attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. And it has raid at the beginning of your end step. If you attack this turn, return target creature card with mana value less than or equal to Alicia's power from your graveyard to the battlefield. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I think it reads more powerful than it actually is. The +1/+1 counter, like every time it swings, is kind of nice. especially with First Strike. It's not, if you play it on curve, it's probably not going to trade down very often.
No.
The raid, I think, takes a little bit too much setup.
Yeah, like what deck is in the market for a like effectively a 3/3 first striker,
Yeah.
but also like has creatures in the graveyard. Like you want to go like 1, 2, 3, and hopefully like your 1 and your 2 didn't die before
Yeah.
like it can't. I guess like against like a removal heavy matchup,
Mhm.
you're like attack with my 2. Okay, now like okay, you killed my 2. Cool, I'm gonna play Alicia, get it back.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think the play pattern with a lot of these raid creatures is attack first, then play it.
Yeah.
Right? And like see like to see if like that's what you want to do. Or like if you have another 3, like don't play Alicia.
Oh, that's cute. I hadn't really thought of that because you can attack with something else. So if you
Yes.
trade your 2-drop off and then play
And then you play
Alicia,
Alicia.
you get your 2-drop back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I
so
think
this
that's
is more
kind
of
the
like
play pattern.
more of like an aggressive card than like a card.
Yeah, so I think it's more like, you know, you trade off your 1 drop for their 2,
Yeah.
right? Or, whatever. You just like swing out, you don't care how the blocks go because you know that you have Alicia to get the thing back.
Yeah.
And then on turn 3 or on turn 4, Alicia's big.
Yeah.
And like harder to block.
Yeah.
And like if they don't kill Alicia, they can't really block anything else in trade.
Yeah.
Or like if they do trade, you just get that, or even if they eat something, you just get it back. And then Alicia just becomes harder to block. So I think like that's where it's supposed to be, is like you're like 1 drop attack, 2 drop, and then on turn 3 attack with both, and then play this, get something back.
I wonder,
I think
I don't know how much standard you've been playing, but before that the Heartfire Immolator deck, before that deck came around, there was a different lizard deck that was red black.
Yeah.
I wonder if that deck wants this card.
It's like maybe like a sideboard juke, or
Well,
not
not even really a sideboard juke because it gets all your lizards back.
Yeah, well, juke's kind of the wrong word, but like as a like I'm gonna play my lizard, like I'm gonna play my hired claw.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna play like the 2-drop guy that like deals the damage whenever you play a lizard, and like, oh, you killed my thing. Okay, next turn attack, get it back with Alicia. Like it's kind of like a like grindy like sideboard card.
Like I played that deck in standard for a little bit, and the aspect of the deck that I liked was you like being able to grind your opponents into dust, like not really being aggressive with it, but you had the 2-drop that like if you connected, you got a card from the top of your deck or something, and then the 3-drop, the legendary guy Jasper that like got your opponent's cards.
Yeah.
Like this could buy back some of the pieces of that deck after you've kind of used them up, Like if you crack in, get a trigger off of your I forget what fire or something. I don't remember the lizard's name, but the gold one that like gets you a card. Like if you crack in and then get a card off of that and it's Alicia and you play it and like get your guy back. Like that seems like a pretty brutal turn 3.
Yeah. You're talking about oh gosh, what is he called? The guy that you discard something and you get to cast a card? Cruel Claw?
No,
or
no,
Laughing Jasper Flint.
Well, Jasper was the second card that I mentioned. No, the first one was Fireglass Mentor.
Oh yeah, that thing. Yeah.
If your opponent lost life, you exile the top 2 cards of your library, choose one, and you can play it till the end of the turn.
Mhm.
So like if the Fireglass Mentor was your turn 2, and then like turn 3 you crack in, trade your 1-drop off or whatever, trigger this guy, and then cast like Alessia and get your 1-drop back.
Yeah. That seems pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, kind of drew 2 cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I could see, like, her having a home, like, in an aggressive deck where you're, like, did you play with the weird Norin or with or against the weird Norin from Duskmourn?
I did not.
So, like, the card doesn't look good. But, like, it's really annoying when you, like, block a thing
Mm-hmm.
and then they just get to replay it.
Yeah.
Like, you can never, like, kill anything. Alicia kind of has that same thing where, like, you block and you, like, kill their 2-drop and you're like, yeah, I did it. And then they're like, just bring it back. And you're just like, okay, I accomplished nothing this turn.
Yeah.
This is awful.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I could definitely see Alicia finding a home doing something like that.
Yeah. I might actually play around with that. That hadn't occurred to me until we started talking about it, that it might have a home in that lizard deck.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Also, free tiny leaders. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I mean, if they were ever going to bring it back, like Arena would be a great place to bring it back on.
It would.
Like if they did it for midweek Magic or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be down for some
go.
tiny leaders midweek Magic.
Yeah, they print so many legends now. Like, it
Yeah.
would be like you'd have so much to choose from.
Yeah.
All right. Tiny brawlers.
Tiny brawlers.
There we go.
I like it.
All right. So with that, I think we got a show.
I think we got a show.
All right. So hopefully next week we're gonna green them, or not next week, but in 2 weeks we'll green them.
Get through the rest of these cards. Green multicolor lands. We can probably all squeeze in.
We can try real hard.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
So, if you have any suggestions for the show, let us know. Facebook, Discord, X, email, all those links are in the description. Say hey, give us some thoughts.
Yep. Hit us up. If you're looking to support the show, 2 ways to do it. First is with our TCG player affiliate link, CasualTryHard.com/TCG. Surf on over there, do your shopping, spend your Christmas money, support the show at the same time. We would appreciate it. The second is on Patreon, patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. When you sign up, you get access to our show notes. So you get a sneak peek about what the next episode's going to be about. And you get access to about another hour of content out of us every week in the form of our unshow. Sound good to you? Or if you just want to support the show, patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG and chip a couple bucks in.
Yeah. So with that, we'll catch you on the internet.
We'll catch you on the internet.